I'm
Yeah, you
Mary
got it.
Choate from UNH Extension. I was so excited to hear that the need was identified for CGMP courses for small producers, because that's what we've been doing. Chris went to our class last year. It's a 2-day class that we offer for food safety planning for New Hampshire food processors. And I have some handouts if you want, and as well as the agenda. But day 1 covers basics like a little bit of microbiology, hazard and ID, flow of food, cleaning and sanitation. And day 2 is 100% on CGMPs. So we go through them all, have hands-on, some hands-on exercises, lots of case studies using FDA warning letters. And the other thing I wanted to say is, yeah, so you're welcome. Oh, and also on our website, as an aside, if you go to, if you do Google like UNH Extension FSMA, you will come to our produce safety information and then our preventive controls information, and both of those have an online tool to see where you fall. So if you're interested, and if you can't find it, just get to me, Mary Choate, and I'll tell you where it is. But it's really helpful to help people find out, are they covered at all, or are they under modified requirements or fully covered? So there.
Great.
I'm Amanda Kinchler from UMass. A few things I wanted to limelight. We have a FSTOP Food Safety Outreach Program grant where we're developing a curricula for small and emerging food businesses. And the idea is a 1.5-day workshop where we teach new businesses about the concepts of thinking about food safety from that product idea all the way to the facets of commercialization and sprinkling food safety from the label design and the commercialization, et cetera. On Thursday, we're doing a train the trainer to kind of teach. I know some of you are going to be there, so thanks for coming. But the idea is kind of, we're talking about raising awareness early. At the end of that, part of that program, it also includes a PC Lite to kind of let them know that eventually, hopefully, you're going to grow. So think about that today in your long-term plan. And so we'll be piloting that on Thursday. So if anyone else wants to come to the party, it's here. Talk to me offline. And the other thing is knowing that product development, I mean, it's my jam, it's not everyone's jam, but in terms of value added, canning is something that's fairly straightforward to do, but there's rules. So to enable that, we did open access, converting ball book recipes for scheduled process. And we have that all available for anyone that wants them, including the standard operating procedures of how we made them. There's a poster today that will have how we do that. I don't just give it to you. You have to know me, hello, I understand the rules about this. We put your name on a list so I know I give it to you. But if you'd like that information, that's at a poster downstairs.
Why'd you pick ball?
What was that?
Why ball?
It's because my student had recipe books, and it's a longer story. The poster will tell you how
Some
we
of
came
those
up with
ball recipes are not up to snuff.
I validated them with the process authority.
All right.
I got the validation. We heard the gap, so we knew. Sorry, I skipped. I have 3 minutes. You're pinching on my time. Okay, so you catch that gist. So we have open access recipes. There are 12 plus products. The other one is in collaboration with Liz in the back and Jill in my corner. We're doing a project supported by Sarah. It's the value of investigating the consumer market potential for frozen retail. And so as part of that is doing consumer markets of where the lines are for consumers of where they're willing to pay for frozen product and doing experiments in that. And then we are working in the factory to look at how we would run it and the ramifications of implementing a food safety plan and then putting those two pieces together to see what the bottom line is. So poor Jill's been out there with stopwatches, and Liz and I have been trying to look at freezing rates and all this type of stuff. So that's going to coming down the pike, but I think it's very interesting of putting the rubber to the road of idea versus food safety and putting those two together. And then the final one I'm going to just limelight, and then I hope if Jill wants to give a shout out of, we have another group project for the food safety outreach program, and this is specifically with enabling food safety plans for small processors. And kind of all the stuff we talk about today, we are pretty strong confidence that we know that they don't know how to implement these things. So we are going to be looking for producers in the region that we will then go with them at their facility and hold their hand through the whole thing. But, I'm not cheap. Yeah, I bribe you that you then have to have me be able to share that information later, right? So I come to your house, I'm going to take pictures, and we're gonna share what was good, what was bad, so that I can then share it with other people to say, it's not so bad, but this is how we're gonna do it. And then the finale of that is that we have an audit at the end. So the carrot is at the end, we'll have an audit and trying to get this practice to get a carrot of change, see this cycle. And then Jill will come in, you can take out your finale on that project there.
So this is actually pre-finale. First of all, the idea there is to video record the whole process, and it's not going to be as pretty as or cool or entertaining as what you've done.
No
art like that. But it is to sort of show, the wide-eyed, what am I doing? And then going through the whole process to sort of, in a digestible form. So we have like a videographer that we're working with to sort of hopefully show a story that people can relate to. But even before that, one of the things I think that is coming out of the survey results is that, producers don't necessarily know what the costs of implementation are, and there are lots of different ways that the costs can factor in, and that seems to be a barrier for people to even start asking the questions. They'd rather just not know the things they don't have to start paying for. So this is not recruitment because this hasn't gone through our IRB yet, but at some point I might recruit some of you who are experts in this to help me think through a little more strategically what the actual costs of implementation are, so that we can then do some research. You can say, well, you have to put you have to have a video, you have to have a live video feed sometimes, right? Well, how much does that actually cost? You have to have a metal detector, how much, things that you guys know you have to recommend to people, but when people start to think about it, it makes their heart kind of beat and they freak out and I don't think I need to do that. So we want to just start to put some numbers, some ranges, right? This is not major data collection, it's just trying to start to understand what those items are, those categories, and what the ranges of costs might be. So eventually all of you, once it is approved by the IRB, will get recruited in some way by me, but this is not it right now. The other thing I just want to say is, following up on this conversation earlier, I think it's really, I don't think all states have access to databases like Pennsylvania and New York have, and I'm sure that Pennsylvania and New York's databases do not track data in the same way. So thinking of a bigger picture, I just want to put it out there that I think, this is not what this group necessarily does and what you guys are here to do right now, but I just want to put it on the table that I think that to get the resources that you need, this is a place you're going to have to start thinking. And you're the people who can make it happen. From my perspective, when you think of trying to advocate for some kind of policy, more resources to help support implementation and compliance with PC, you have to really demonstrate and document why that is, and you can't really do that unless you've done the groundwork. So I want to say that that's something I've been thinking about for the last year since I came to this meeting, and we think we have some tools, when we can talk about that more, but just I want to set the groundwork for conversations for saying that.
Great. Thanks. Last one for now.
Thank you. I'm Xavier. I work with the Cornell Preventive Center, and I wanted to talk about 2 or 3 projects that we have going on. One was we just finished. It's an NECAFS grant that aimed to deliver some information about the preventive controls rule to hard-to-reach communities, and we looked at the inner city in Rochester, so we had a class there just a couple weeks ago. No, 4 weeks ago, and about 2 weeks ago we had another one in Geneva aimed at Amish and Mennonite communities. The goal was for disqualified exempt facilities to have an understanding of what they have to actually have in place for FISMA. We managed with these 2 pilots reach 95 people. We thought that the program was very successful. It was very interesting. It's a 1-day training, 8 hours, very intense in terms of material. Cynthia James is one of our employees at the Food Venture Center. She's in charge of that, and she came up with very good material. We had very nice presentations. I think we're still have room for improving it, but we have very interesting guide, resources, and the most important thing that people are giving us the best feedback on is the glossary. I'm finding this thing after doing this job for 4 years that I'm now operating under this assumption that simple is okay. It's okay to simplify and make things accessible. And we are getting extremely surprising, intense engagement in these courses. It's hard to keep track of time because with information accessible the way that this course was created, people do feel like it's an interesting environment for them to ask their questions. And it was an interesting breakthrough. I think we really want to pursue that. And we are talking to the state and the markets in New York to how to use this information because they want to deliver that kind of information for these companies that are under state jurisdiction. And what we are thinking about is actually creating a statewide program. And I really want to us discuss that, Amanda, because our programs are similar in scope. Even though this is more focused on food safety alone, yours is a bigger approach there. But we want to create this 2-hour sections that we're going to be delivering in partnership with CCE throughout the state, so that every 2 years we have this cohort that will get the certificate. And that's an interesting project that we will be rolling out hopefully in spring of 2021 if everything goes okay. The other thing that we're working on is that, well, it's a long story, but basically our college had a grant out to, the objective was to promote our partnerships in the scene in New York City. So we put out a proposal there to create a training. They came up with well, we don't like it that way, can you do it that way? So anyways, it came down to an online training program that we're developing in partnership with eCornell. And during this time, eCornell changed, now eCornell is Cornell, go figure. But the fact is that we own the videos that we'll be producing. Only eCornell issues the certificate, but we will have this very professionally elaborate content explaining what's a retort, or what's a hot fill process, and very simple concepts that we're very excited to use in these manuals and these guidances that we put out to our clients. And we hope to, with this, make use of one of these main itches that we have. We deal with about 800 different food companies every year at the Cornell Food Venture Center. More than 2,500 products are validated by our team every year, and we are not making use of that information. And that's the biggest value that we have, and that's the main asset that we are trying to leverage towards improving the food safety awareness and using that connection as a tool to deliver the resources that we have. And to that point, I do think that we can work better, create better collaborations with our programs, because not all clients for the Food Venture Center are from New York. About 60% are. But for those others, I think we need to work better to deliver information that is adequate for the region where these manufacturers are. And finally, the most important thing, we're getting a little group to have dinner at Fogo de Chão, a restaurant, Brazilian steakhouse, just across the street. If anyone wants to join us,
Nice.
we're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. We just have a couple minutes, and we just want to open this back up to any other questions you guys might have. Specifically, the needs assessment, we wanted to come back to that. You've heard a little bit about all the work groups at this point. You've heard some people talk about other projects as well, which is great. Obviously, we have the needs assessment that we did and survey. So if there's any other questions, we're going to open it up.
I just have a really general question. Who looks after teaching food safety in primary and high school?
Depends on the school district. It depends on, so I did food court for a year, so I know a little bit about this. It really depends on the school district. Each school district is expected to have a wellness policy, which includes nutrition, it includes food safety, it includes
And that's part of the USDA program we talked about. So
yeah, well, sort of, yeah.
they have to have wellness and they have to have nutrition
Yeah.
advising. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, often that happens with with like the culinary programs. That's what I mostly.
I just want to clarify, do you mean, is the food service program specifically, Bill? Is that what you're referring to?
Just kids in general, because when we brought in recycling, we focus on the kids, and they were the most militant and taught their parents. So, right, like how to wash your hands, right? And but basically, you teach the kids, and they're going, Mom, you're not doing it right. Dad, you're not doing it right. This needs to go in the glass recycling. That has to go in paper. That is not recyclable, right?
So for, well, at least in Philadelphia, from what I know, that's mostly considered vocational. So, you know, the kids who are going into that, you know, food service
I would
class.
say for elementary school, my experience was in New Haven, Connecticut, was that there was a wellness curriculum they were expected to follow that's sort of the national curriculum. But different school boards, different school districts, different states have different policies of what the curriculum should be. But the teachers are expected to be able to do that at elementary school, along with teaching English, social science, math.
This is outside of any food service is what you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah, I mean, food core had the 3 pillars, which was in classroom or in garden education, in the cafeteria education, which could be to the students, but it could also be to the staff if the school district was willing. And then also trying to build a school-wide wellness policy. So I can talk to you more.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions that came up? I mean, I think everybody has a couple, it looks like, but
I have one
Yes.
comment that didn't really fit in with the open mic. I started a Google food safety group with, it's with Nick, the Network for Incubator and Commercial Kitchens. So if anyone's interested in being part of that, let me know and I can add you. Just send me an email then, because otherwise I'm gonna lose track. I'm gonna write it down somewhere and give me a piece. No, send me an email. Not lose track, but it'd be lovely to have more food safety people on there. It's pretty quiet at the moment. It started at their conference in October, November. There was a panel, and so I started the group then. So we've got some of the managers who are interested in food safety, and so that I thought was a place to start. I mean, I thought, my concern is my clients don't know what a good kitchen looks like. So I would love to have some kind of audit where we can tell the clients that this is a good kitchen to work in. To get
that's
them
great.
started.
Yeah.
So,
You're funny.
probably not Dave's level.
Well, anyways, I just want to remind people that we're going to send out all the materials and have that available. So again, there's been a lot of presentations today, so we'll make those available for everybody. Final evaluation for this will be also available post. So did everybody sign up to come into this session? Did anybody not? How about that question? If you didn't actually, perhaps we can just grab your email and we'll make sure to get it onto the list. So would you guys mind grabbing those emails of the people who did not sign up for this workshop? I want to make sure they get the evaluation, so it'd be great. So, thanks. Would you guys say one more time who you guys are? You guys are a great help. So. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. So I want to thank everybody else, and you know what? We can give it all to everybody. Cake in bed. So thank you very much. So.